We're staring at the back of a 2022 Subaru Forester base model driver's seat. And if you're watching this video, chances are you're like me and you realized after some amount of time driving this vehicle that the lumbar support in the back is just too much. It was too aggressive for my body, my build, and it was actually causing me significant pain. I am a first-time Subaru owner. Everybody talks highly of them, and the vehicle is quite nice. It handles well. Even the base model that I have has some nice enough features. I don't like a lot of bells and whistles, but one thing that it doesn't have is retractable lumbar support. And so it was just digging and digging into my back, causing me extreme discomfort, and I thought, I've got to do something. But as you know, if you have a vehicle, as soon as you take that new one off the lot, its value diminishes significantly, even if there's not a whole lot of miles on it. So I was at about that 250 mile mark, but if I were to just try and turn it back in, well, I would have lost money, right? So nobody wants to lose money, especially not thousands of dollars. Nobody also wants to have to make immediate adjustments to something that's brand new, but sometimes that's how it goes. And if you don't want to trade it in and lose money, if you don't want to have to try and go through the hassle of selling it to someone else or taking it to an upholstery shop and having them give you a custom seat, and that can get a little pricey too, there is a short-term-ish solution that I found. I'm calling it short-term because I don't know how this could impact the longevity of the seat in any way, shape, or form. I'm not a mechanic. I'm not, like many Americans, I probably don't know as much about vehicles as I probably should. But my goal was reducing that immediate pain that was being caused by the lumbar support in the backside of this Subaru Forester. So I looked online, I went down the rabbit hole, online forums, YouTube videos, and it turns out there aren't a whole lot of videos on Foresters. In fact, I couldn't find any Forester videos about this, but it is a problem in the Subaru Outbacks as well. And I did watch some videos about removing the lumbar support in the Subaru Outbacks. I thought, well, the Forester is very similar, so I can probably use that to fix the Forester's issue as well. And you can, but it's not quite the same. So I figured we would do a video here just to quickly show how it looks for these newer Foresters specifically, in case somebody is maybe a little more nervous to do this and it doesn't look quite like what you find in those Outback videos. But the first step is going to be simply unzipping the seats. You'll note that there are zippers on the left and right side, and they're really tucked into the bottom. If we transition over to the passenger side, you can see they're up underneath, but if you come up here and you dig around and you really pull on it, eventually you'll find your way to the flap here that you can pull out, and then it becomes a lot easier to unzip up and down both sides. And when you take a peek in, you'll see that there's a plastic wedge jammed in, that's the lumbar support, into like the lower third of the back of this chair. And this is just a low effort recreation. I don't actually have the whole thing clamped in. I already took it out, but this will give you the basic idea of how it works. It's this metal bracer with springs on either side. And you've got this plastic clamp, or this plastic shell that clamps on and then is hooked on by these hooks on the side here. And with the Outbacks, it's a little easier to actually remove this and lift it up. There is a guided thing at the bottom that you can take out to give you a little more wiggle room. But in the Forester, at least this 2022 model, you can see it's got an attachment at the top here, and it actually goes all the way underneath the seat as well. And I don't want to potentially do something that could, involve cutting or tearing or doing anything that might damage resale value. That's important down the line too, right? So this is minimally invasive. The good news is you don't have to really get in to do this fix. You just have to pop this clamp out. And so you'll notice the top part, these ones come out pretty easy. Left side, right side. You can pop both of those out with relative ease. It's a little more difficult to do the bottom portion. If we come back to this side here, you'll see this is not clamped in right now, but you can see the shape. It clamps in and it comes all the way through, and this little hook in here holds it in. So what you'll have to do is after you unclip the main part at the top, it'll give you a little more room to really push in on this, and all the way to the point where you can pass and get outside of this little spring hook. And then I found I was able to turn it down, and you keep pushing and pushing and pushing, and you can eventually break it out of the second clamp here on the bottom, and then it literally just comes out just like that. And you can see this is a pretty aggressive curve. Now, if we come back here, you'll notice these things just hang. I did put a little something over the ends of the metal here just because I didn't want to, again, puncture and tear the fabric. And this solved like 90% of the problem. The seat still isn't a perfect fit for me, but the immense pain that it was causing is no more. I don't get in and immediately have a sore back in 10-15 minutes of driving. However, I did notice that after I took that support out, it is kind of a little saggy, like I'm sinking in a little too much. So I think the final evolution for me is going to be to just take this and now put this metal support back inside the hook of the spring here, just so I don't sink in so much. But good riddance to this hard plastic lumbar support that is in there. And then we're just going to come back up and zip the sides back down, tuck them back in if you want, and problem solved, at least for the short term. So again, I'm not a mechanic. Do this at your own risk. I don't know what the potential long-term implications could be, but I also don't see why somebody couldn't come in and create their own piece of plastic or foam or something else in here to provide support that maybe isn't as aggressive. I read in the Outbacks, people actually have heated up this plastic and reshaped it. I'm not about that sort of thing, but hopefully this fix here will help you so that you can avoid a real intense case of buyer's remorse like I almost had.